Okay, everybody, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. This is a new edition. We haven't had a new edition in a long time, and I'm happy to say that things have been very hectic and chaotic and all those exciting things about life. I wanted to raise a topic you may have seen. It has to do with IQ, and I heard more than one individual talk about IQ this week. Someone today, someone also last week in the blogosphere, in the world of social media, who said something potentially controversial, and I would like to put it out there for all of our Nafshi Wellness Wednesday followers and see if you agree, see if this is a Jewish viewpoint, is this a spiritual viewpoint, is this helpful? And the following is the conjecture. IQ, assuming a person has a high IQ, which of course stands for intelligence quotient, but you could see a different acronym that I put on our little tagline. IQ has nothing to do with goodness. IQ has nothing to do with humanity. IQ has nothing to do with common sense. IQ has nothing to do with the quality of a person's morality and how effective a person is at navigating life. What do you think? Is this true? I'd like to hear you weigh in or not weigh in. From a Jewish point of view, I would say on the surface, we value education, we value wisdom. So do we have a leaning, do we have a bias, do we have a prejudice toward smarts? Do we have a bias toward people who are blessed with higher IQ? Some might say yes, but I would like to argue no. I would like to argue the opposite, and I would like to argue either an intelligence quotient as a diagnostic for gauging someone's intelligence. I think this was used decades ago. I'm not sure how relevant it is nowadays from a counseling point of view or a psychodiagnostic point of view. But let's say someone is into it. Let's say, just to call out one organization, Mensa. Let's say you love Mensa. You eat, drink, sleep Mensa all day long. That's all you think about. So that's a group of people with these high IQs. And this might give away who it was who was talking about this in the blogosphere. Let's say you love IQs. There are two options. One is you were born with a high IQ, which means you did nothing to earn it. You did nothing to achieve your level of smarts of intelligence. Or you cultivated a level of education and wisdom and growth and learning intellectually. It's only one of the two. Or you could say it's a combination of the two. If it's the former, if I was born into something, why would that be meaningful in any way? I didn't put in any time, any skill, any effort, any exertion, any struggle that would make something meaningful in life. So why would that be indicative of any type of value that I have from a spiritual point of view, from a Jewish point of view? I would argue that it doesn't. It's only with what we do with the raw material that we were given with, that we were blessed with by God and created with as a natural talent capability. So if you say the intelligence quotient is indicative of something innate, I would say, what is the Jewish value of it? Alternatively, if you say that in the intelligence a person has, a high IQ is something cultivated, so I would say, what does that translate into in the real world? How does that practically elevate an individual's goodness, an individual's wisdom, common sense? Just because someone is book smart, just because someone has a lot of education or has memorized a lot of facts, that just means I can compete with my device, which has all of the material information in aggregate and collective human history that I can access in the palm of my hand, which is remarkable and actually deserves its own Wellness Wednesday. But if I have all of that in the palm of my hand, then how can I compete with that? Why would I compete with that? If I'm just a collection, a storing house of data and information, what relevance would that have, even if I have done my best in acquiring all of that? So I would say from a Jewish point of view, I would agree that IQ as a gauge in the barometer is elitist. I would venture to say that it does not have its rightful place, that everything that we strive for, the value of education, rightly, the value of acquiring wisdom, learning from our elders, from our parents, from our grandparents, from our teachers, from our scholars, from our rabbis, from our rebbitzins, all of that is to strive to attain something of a title that is relevant to our Jewish lives, and that is not someone who is smart. That's not the ideal we strive for, but rather it's striving to be a Talmid Chacham or a Talmidah, which means the highest attained level according to our spiritual senseis, is not to be someone super intelligent. It is not to be someone smart. It's not even to be a wise person. It's to be Talmid Chacham. And for those Hebraists, that means a student of the wise, a student of wisdom, or a wise student. Always that appellation, that honorific, is connected to the highest aspiration in terms of our collective Jewish education and identity, Talmid Chacham, or Talmidah, which means I should be a wise student. I may be 40 years old. I may be 80 years old. I may live to 120 years old, God willing. We should all be blessed with as much time as we can to maximize our potential. But I'm always a Talmid Chacham, always a student. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you think. Should we retire the barometer of IQ? Is it meaningful at all nowadays? And do you agree with my analysis? And would you like to weigh in about our Jewish point of view in this Wellness Wednesday? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Signing off.